There's a plant in Mexico worth millions and consumed by millions. Not the one you're thinking of. No, not this one either. Avocados, the fatty fruit that has taken the Western consumer market by storm. For your dad, it may symbolize irresponsible spending habits of the younger generation, and for you, a cozy Sunday brunch with friends with indeed a questionable price tag. Avocado has cemented itself in modern culinary culture across the Western world, consequently creating a billion-dollar industry. And how this luscious fruit gets to your table? In the foothills of Mexican volcanoes, there are happy artisanal families with long-standing traditions, living peacefully harvesting fruit for the world to consume. Psych. It's a total mayhem, basically a gang war in the orchards. Behind this overpriced breakfast item is a supply chain held together with extortion, intimidation, and sometimes a bit of arson. Most of the avocados consumed in North America come from one single region in Mexico, the state of Michoacán. High altitudes, volcanic soil, and ideal climate make the state perfect for growing avocados. And in 1997, when the North American Free Trade Agreement allowed Mexico to export avocados to the US, Michoacán's potential was unlocked. The avocado trade exploded. The American appetite for this scrumptious fruit was awakened, and the rise has been skyrocketing ever since. Michoacán became a gold mine. Money was literally growing on trees. But then local businessmen took notice, because there is another booming field of commerce in Mexico that already had its logistics in place for a high-value, cash-based industry with weak state oversight and lots of trucks going in and out of rural areas. This merger into a new field was destined. Cartels didn't get into avocados because they like guacamole. They got in because the economics made sense. Unlike their other business interests, avocados are legal, in constant demand, and incredibly hard to trace once they're packed. There's no need for secret routes or bribed customs officials. Just a farm, a truck, and a stamp from the USDA. It's the perfect product. High profit, high volume, and low risk. And best of all, once inside the supply chain, cartel profits get laundered clean with every crate. Money finds money, and the avocado industry quickly became a contested one. These businessmen started showing up at farms, first requesting good old simple protection money. Give us a bit of cash and we make sure no one hurts you. Then it slowly escalated to farmers being told what price to sell at, who to sell to, and so forth. Some orchards were outright seized. Others were bought for prices that were non-negotiable and suspiciously low. In many towns, cartels started controlling who could plant avocados at all. Then came the packaging plants. Once they realized the real money wasn't just in growing the fruit, but processing and exporting it, they moved up the chain. By controlling the local packing facilities, they could skim off the top of everyone's production, not just one farm. Now, imagine this happening across dozens of towns, each with different illegal actors, shifting alliances, and the occasional self-defense militia trying to fight back, or become the new management. By the time the fruit reaches a truck headed north, it's passed through a whole shadow economy of forced payments, intimidation, and unofficial permits issued by men in ski masks. The world was officially introduced to something that sounds like a joke: the avocado cartel. Meanwhile, the farmers, not exactly thrilled with this new business model, began to arm themselves. The state wasn't giving them much help anyway. Local militias, or autodefensas, were formed to protect land, lives, and margins. Some succeeded, some were absorbed into the very networks they were fighting, others just became new cartels with better branding. The chaos in Michoacán doesn't just stay local. When a cartel torching, a highway blockade, or a sudden spike in violence hits, it jams up the entire avocado supply chain. Avocados are fragile fruits. They can't just sit in warehouses forever, waiting for the next truck. The supply chain is a finely tuned machine. Harvest, pick, package, ship, distribute, sell. A hiccup anywhere creates a domino effect. Thus, it's so ironic how the fruit that requires the most order is harvested into chaos. Because Michoacán supplies over half of North America's avocados, even a short-term disruption causes waves. Shipments get delayed, packing plants slow down, and importers scramble for alternatives. Meanwhile, retailers overseas feel the squeeze. Less supply means fewer avocados on the shelves. Prices may go up. Sometimes avocados just disappear from stores altogether for days or weeks. All because a dusty road in Michoacán got closed by masked men with guns. Turns out, replacing Mexico's avocado supply isn't easy. They've tried. There are avocados in California, Peru, Colombia, and even Kenya, but Michoacán's got the perfect combo of soil, scale, and supply chain. Every time there's a flare-up, the industry talks about diversification, but then things calm down and it's back to Michoacán. In 2024 alone, the US imported over 1 million metric tons, or $2.7 billion worth of avocados from Mexico. And what is $1 billion international industry without diplomatic interference? Because though the US has its own avocado production in California and Florida, it's seasonal and not enough. Michoacán is the only place that can supply US scale demand year-round, but it also happens to have a high pest risk. Therefore, the USDA actually sends inspectors all the way to Mexico to physically assess and to certify the fruit before it can cross the border. No stamp, no shipment. Until recently, Michoacán was the only state in Mexico that was allowed to export avocados to the US. So, this inspection is a significant bottleneck in the supply chain. And in 2022, things got a bit sour. USDA inspectors deemed a shipment to not meet the standards. In response, some of the nefarious Michoacanos threatened and held the inspectors. Good old cartel intimidation. This wasn't tolerated by the US though, and it led to an immediate export ban for avocados and mangoes. This trade freeze was felt immediately. Supply shrank and prices rose, again because of a dude in a ski mask on a rural back road in Mexico. Such a small incident froze the whole supply chain. This prompted a sharp response from Mexico. After all, freezing $1 billion industry creates some urgency. Security was increased and sufficient stability was back within a week, allowing the trade to continue. However, the local turmoil isn't just about who controls the supply. The complexities run much deeper. Beyond direct extortion related to avocados, the general breakdown of law and order leads to general insecurity. The regions are controlled with roadblocks, so just travel between towns has its added challenge. The unauthorized economy is really a battle over resources in multiple fronts. The cartels aren't just selling avocados, they're selling access to land and water. Because avocados require a lot of water, up to 70 liters per single fruit. Illegal actors hijack irrigation systems, divert rivers, and even drill unauthorized wells. In Michoacán, water is as valuable as the fruit it feeds. Control the wells, and you control the harvest. And avocados are not just thirsty, they also require a lot of space. In Michoacán, entire hillsides of pine and oak forest are quietly being turned into avocado orchards. Sometimes the land is leased under pressure, other times it's seized outright. And when the trees stand in the way, fires just happen to break out. Deforestation is illegal. Protected land isn't allowed to be used for avocado farming, but if it somehow happens to burn down, it can be repurposed. That's all it takes to reclassify the land from forest to farmland. So, a few months later, where there used to be pines, there are now avocado saplings. This isn't isolated. It's a pattern. In many areas, locals report suspicious fires followed by sudden planting of avocado trees. And it's not just trees that disappear. The local biodiversity is sacrificed for the green gold. Entire ecosystems vanish. Birds, insects, and small mammals lose their habitat. Native species are pushed out, rivers run dry. And all of it, quietly, invisibly, is exported, one creamy green fruit at a time. The global demand doesn't see the fires, the extortion, or the masked men. It just sees guacamole on a brunch menu. Thus, your overpriced avocado toast isn't just a millennial indulgence. It's the endpoint of a complex, volatile, and sometimes violent supply chain stretching thousands of miles across state borders.